Welcome to the Scottsdale Vibes podcast. I'm Alicia Haygood. This week, we are going to be talking and celebrating our veterans here in Scottsdale. I'm going to be joined by Justin Layman and Barbara Hatch later on to talk about how sharing veteran stories helps preserve history, build understanding, and really strengthen our community. But first, let's check in with our favorite State Farm agent, Jeremy Mueller. We had some wild weather here in Scottsdale lately, so we thought it was a perfect time to check in and hear how we can protect our home through this hail. There were trees downed everywhere. So on the houses, on cars, how do you, if you see it coming, do we like send an email and call you right away? Be like, hey, it's here. No. And get in first?
No.
Is there like a queue that we can get a number or something like that?
You know, it reminded me that back in 2010 we had a bad one. So it's been 15 years
That's crazy.
since we had one that bad. Certain pockets got hit worse than others. If you're parked at Notre Dame, your car probably got hail damage that day. But really, it's the tree thing. The tree, you got to thin out your trees. I can't. Like the trees that made it generally were thinned out. It's not fun to pay for, but this was one that kind of paid dividends there.
Yeah.
We did have a few trees that were on homes that did quite a bit of damage. A lot of them just fell over.
Okay.
But it was mainly the hail damage, which we're still dealing with.
How do you, I mean, that's just doing a bunch of dents. So how do you get hail damage? Is that covered under your insurance typically?
Yeah, it definitely is covered. I mean,
Okay.
it's a comprehensive claim. So it's more just the body shops are really backed up.
Okay.
So it could be you have to live with it a month before you get into that shop. But
Okay.
it's all covered. It's not emergency or anything like that.
Roof damage from these trees that were not thinned out properly, like
Yes.
you keep recommending to us.
That is covered. Yeah. Yeah, but subject to deductible, and it's a pain, right? Like
Yeah.
you got to go out and but I mean, I think the common misperception is home insurance, not tree insurance. So if that tree does not do damage to that home, there's probably no coverage on that tree.
That's good to know because I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
Otherwise, we'd be underwriting trees, like making
That's fair.
sure you thin them out.
Falling on someone else's house and car.
Right.
You know, that's happened to us where we had our neighbor's tree fell out of their yard onto ours, but it damaged our property, not theirs.
Correct. So that's on you.
Great.
Yeah.
Thanks for the great news, Jeremy. Let's talk about everything that's coming up. We were just talking about the veterans and giving back and how much you, Jeremy, give back to this community all the time. Every time you come on and I meet someone new that knows Jeremy Mueller is everywhere. He's on my grocery carts. He's on TV. He's on the social media here. But you give back in so many ways to Scottsdale too. You've lived here your whole life, born and raised. You just got done with Oktoberfest at the Princess. Coming up now is, of course, the one and only Christmas at the Princess.
Yes.
Talk about what this means to you because you've been celebrating there forever.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. I mean, never did I think I would be in a position to be a title sponsor at these events. So, I mean, that is one way. I just like what they do for the community.
Yeah.
I really do. It's all about family, and it's all about getting everyone where you don't need to drive to Greer or whatever. You can just have all that in your own backyard. So I do like that, like what they've done. It is hard to believe that we're coming into the holiday season, though, because I was looking at our calendar. I'm like, oh my gosh, we have this charity, this charity, this charity. So it's all coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the other charities because it's not just the Princess, Christmas at the Princess. You do a toy drive every year. Talk about that.
Correct.
And
Drop
what we
off
can
your
do.
toys, any of our locations. Love to. We've been doing that for years. We're doing something with the reservation this year with orphanages and giving beds and making sure everyone has clean sheets and stuff like that. And then, you know, everyone has their little thing in the office that they like to do. I think we're doing United Way or something. So, we try to spread it out a little bit.
I love that because you're encouraging your own employees to go do their own thing with their, purposes and needs and wants in that sense of giving back.
100%. And then usually if you have a little bit of buy-in there, it just means a little bit more. So, anytime any team member wants to do something, we'll support it.
Yeah. Well, thank you for always and protecting us. And don't forget to go check out Jeremy Mueller to get all your needs covered. He's been here, like we said, in business for over 25 years, but born and raised here in Scottsdale. And that's exactly what you need when it comes to your insurance agent. So giving back to the community is a top priority for Jeremy and his team, as we were just learning. And we would love to help you with your neighbors' home, auto, life, and business coverage. So give him a call at 480-515-5223 or visit him at jeremymueller.com. As Veterans Day approaches here in Scottsdale, we're finding new ways to honor and connect with the men and women who've served. And one of those efforts is from the Veterans Community Series, which is a monthly program that the City of Scottsdale Veterans Advisory Commission, in partnership with the Scottsdale Chamber of Commerce and Scottsdale Leadership, are putting on together to really honor and serve those that have served and honored for our country. So joining me today are two people that are leading this mission: Justin Layman, who's a U.S. Army veteran and Veterans Advisory Commission for the city, and Barbara Hatch, who is founder of Imprints of Honor, which has spent more than 20 years helping students honor veterans through storytelling in the book series Since You Asked. I'm so honored to have you both here. Justin, I've known you for years, I feel like, just through everything in the city. And Barbara, I'm so happy and to get to know you and meet you. Justin, we've talked about this. Thank you for all the service you've done. I tell people I could not run a mile if my life depended on it. I'd probably just lay down and give the guy whatever he wanted or try to steal from me. I really think it's courageous and very selfless, what our veterans do for us. But then they come back and, who are they? Finding themselves and stuff like that. So I want to talk about how you, Justin, let's start with you, built such a huge momentum and career here in Scottsdale, giving back in community service. And I want to talk a little bit about your journey, of where you started off, as in the military, to how you got started here today with us. In the sense of talking about the veteran series and stuff. I know
sure,
you're I did a lot. What do you?
Yeah, no, I mean, well, also I'm an Army guy, so I tend to be succinct. And this actually will be illustrative for you because one of the things that Barbara can certainly speak to is that veterans tend to struggle to share their story. I think maybe just a quarter of the veterans that she interviews through Imprints of Honor ever have shared their full story publicly. So, and I certainly have not. So I do tend to have a very short version of my military service. I joined in '97, largely just to get to college. But to your question about what we've done here in Scottsdale, and which I'm always going to pivot to, is
It goes back to your selfless ways of never wanting to talk about yourself, Justin.
Well, it's just because I think we're very, very excited. It's a privilege to be able to serve as a commissioner, and I'm excited to be able to put this program together. It's been at least the last couple of years coming, and it's a 6-part series. We've already done one of the series. The second series is storytelling, which focuses on Imprints of Honor. But then we go into, and it's typically the first Wednesdays of the month. It follows our Veterans Advisory Commission meeting. So if you feel like being a little nerdy, want to see government in action in a very small way, you're welcome to join us. But the series is really designed to just kind of highlight a few of the areas I think that can help veterans. And so we do the thing on storytelling, which is Imprints of Honor. We've got one on wellness in December. Some leadership development with a local coach, and then we jump into March and April, which are other veteran service organizations, and then volunteering. Because one of the things that I think a lot of veterans groups struggle with when they're trying to help veterans is they leave out the part where the veteran can help, where they can volunteer. And I think it's really important because when you really talk more broadly, whether it's Vietnam era, and Barbara will speak to this, or Iraq and Afghanistan era veterans, you have purpose in the military. And I think when you're trying to understand why veterans struggle, it's with that, because
finding your purpose,
finding that broader purpose. I mean, there's the job that you do in the military, but I was in Iraq, so we're liberating the Iraqis. We're giving a population of about 25 million people the chance for freedom and democracy. That's a powerful purpose to carry. And I think when you come home and now you have a job and you're just living your life, you can lose that sense of purpose.
I never really thought about that, because when you think of a veteran, it's always, like you said, how can we help you? How can we help you? Let's help your mental health. Let's help you find a job. Let's help you teach the basics of being able to go to the grocery store, work on your PTSD. All of those matter, but I know what it feels like to not have a sense of purpose at a time, and when I was a stay-at-home mom and my kids were young and I wasn't working, I felt like I didn't have a purpose. My husband traveled. I could go a week and a half and never hear the name Alicia, right, because of stuff. Nowhere near what you guys experience by any means, but I understand what it feels like to not feel like you have a purpose. Not that moms don't. You have your own identity. You have your own thing that you want to give back. What are some of the ways that you're hearing from these stories and these veterans that they would like to give back and do more?
Well, I'd actually like to just pick on and bring in Barbara. Again, I've been very, very lucky to find, and what's incredible is that this is an Arizona nonprofit, and over the last 20 years, they've brought forward just over 2% of the entire collection at the Library of Congress.
Wow.
So yeah, just this little Arizona nonprofit. I mean, maybe we're not so little now, but it's really impressive the work that they've done. But beyond that, it's just, you can see the change in the veterans. You can see what it means to them, and then when you see the students too. And so, maybe if you can kind of rephrase your question in shape, like, Barbara, could you share really powerful
who is
story?
like running this interview right now? I told you, Justin.
No, it's because she's
Here's what I was
gonna
gonna.
just do it such
I want to hear from
incredible
your
justice.
perspective as a veteran. Is what I'm talking about,
Yeah.
Justin. I'm gonna get you
Yeah.
to talk about yourself. Barbara has been. She's worked with them for 20 years. She, Imprints of Honor, and I really want to talk about that. My son is 11. Huge history buff. War is his favorite subject because for him, he has seen how mechanics has changed through war, how everything is developed technology-wise. He can tell you which war and why and which country and all that. So it's fascinating, but he's 11. So connecting him, I'll get sad. With these veterans, he loves it. Like, he will pick their brain about things. And it's fascinating to see his mind being able to talk to a 67-year-old and just sit there in awe and learn from them. So how do you work? Tell me about Imprints of Honor, first of all, and then we'll get into like the students and working with them.
Well, they say I make everybody cry. So.
You haven't even talked yet, and I'm the one crying. I love it. It'll happen.
I think one of the main things was I've always felt purpose from when I went in the Peace Corps in 1972. So there's purpose there. So,
Yeah.
And teaching always brings you purpose. You have an 11-year-old son.
Yeah.
I had to go in every day for 40 years and help these kids find a role. And I've seen it all. I mean, I've seen kids really, really struggle to find the same thing you said, purpose, and it's very difficult for kids to do that. So when the World War II veterans were at the verge of reaching out, they were in their 70s, and they all of a sudden felt like, wow, nobody really cares what we did anymore. And
There's a whole generation, a new one that's lost, right? Myself included,
Well,
absolutely.
and so students had seen Saving Private Ryan, and they came in and they said, wow, is that real? Because I always warn them about movies. Be careful. And I said, well, let me see if I can find some World War II veterans here in the Valley. There must be. There were 2 million people here at the time. And I found a group out in Fountain Hills, and they started coming in and talking to these kids. And, you talk about your son. These kids, from the most disconnected kid in the room, was enamored.
Yeah.
Just taken. I'll never forget Sylvester Herrera, who had his feet blown off in World War II, but continued to fire at the German guns. And one student, by this point, Sylvester's in his 70s, and they go, what do you do for fun? He goes, I like to go dancing. And they're like, and just seeing that, but we gave those 70-year-olds purpose.
Right.
They started coming to my class, followed me to 3 different schools, reaching out, finding somebody that cared about what they did. Now, I never doubted World War II. I mean, to me, that changed the world. But for them, it's sort of like, well, that was a long time ago. Nobody wants to hear about it.
Right. That's not
They
true.
do want to hear
we
about
do.
it. And so for them, it was just a beautiful experience. But once you do it, it's like a drug, And I'm Vietnam generation, and I have been waiting for 50 years to have those people speak to us about their service, because that was a really rough time. They weren't welcomed home with parades, and often felt like, it was not a real popular war. I lived then, I know. But they felt lost. And so finally they are beginning to speak. Interviewed one yesterday, Francisco Moreno, Battle of Yadrang. Think we were soldiers once and young. He probably should be up for the Medal of Honor, and there's a group pushing for that because 14 missions back and forth to take out casualties and supply those guys on the ground. And he was born in Gleason, Arizona, which is now a ghost town. His father was a miner. And here, wonderful person. And to have a high school student sitting there, just hungry to know.
Yeah. Well, and I'm the kind of person too, I love learning not from reading a book. That's not how I learn. I learn through experience and hands-on, or listening and having a conversation is always how I've learned best. There's nothing that you can read in a history book that's going to take you to the place that a veteran can take you to by telling their firsthand experience story. A movie, a book, nothing's going to do it. Like,
Well,
talking
after
to a
they
person.
talk, then the kid will go read more.
Well, it gets them interested, right? It grows them in that sense. So you've been doing this now since 2004.
Well, the
We've
kid
grown
asked
a
a
lot.
question in 98.
Oh, wow.
So I've really been doing it almost 30 years.
That's
but
crazy.
Formally to record the story and the kids write the story since 2004.
How has Imprints of Honor grown? I mean, we just heard from Justin, which is 2% of the Library of Congress information comes from you all. Talk about how you've grown, and now everyone knows who you are and continue to take down these stories.
Well, I'm humble enough to know not everybody knows who we are. But it started with a classroom, and then it moved over to an after-school club. It was just one school, me, and a full schedule. And then we had some parents in 2009 say, why is this not in other schools? And so we took a leap of faith, well, they did, and put it out there. We got a few more schools, and it just grew. And then I retired from teaching in 2013, because 40 years, I love teaching, I love kids, I still do. But I wanted to be able to do this more because I love it.
Yeah.
I am going to go on about 4 interviews in the next 2 weeks. I can't get enough of it. And I will ask him. He'll tell you, I've already interrogated him this morning. And sometimes the kids are intimidated because they're so respectful and they don't want to ask. And I'm a peer of these Vietnam people. And hey, I've been waiting 40 years. You are going to talk to me. But I see them finally feeling appreciated.
Yeah.
That's a huge piece.
It has to. I mean, talking about it, I'm emotional. Obviously, I just started crying. What kind of have you seen from the students to the adults when it comes to connecting emotionally in that way and being able to listen to each other with huge differences?
Alicia, can I jump in for
Yeah,
one
absolutely.
quick moment? It's just because what Barbara just said about the Vietnam veterans and connecting. So this is some inside Scottsdale history for you. No, just kidding. No, but when the Veterans Commission put together the Vietnam Veterans event that we've done, and that event has grown to over 300. It's our largest, the city of Scottsdale's largest veteran public observance event that we hold. One of the things that my dad served 2 tours in Vietnam. Kelly Corset, he's our staff liaison, so he's a city employee who staffs our commission. His father served in Vietnam. And one of the things that I wanted to do when we created this is I didn't want to create another observance event, which is very structured. I wanted the Vietnam veterans to have that chance to come together, share a story. So this is the format we follow. The veterans come, we have brief introductory remarks, we share a story, we highlight a Vietnam veteran's story, and it's been powerful because you see those other Vietnam veterans nodding, and then we have food and music, and we get a chance to just spend time together. They never got that. You know, for 50 years, these veterans lived in silence, essentially, from their military service, and it was just kind of something they didn't talk about. And so I think that's what Barbara really has done such a tremendous job of capturing, is that this particular generation never had that chance to come together, and we've done a very, very good job. And so I just wanted to circle back to highlight that for here in Scottsdale, 50% of our veterans living in Scottsdale are from the Vietnam era.
That's crazy.
So we're particularly mindful of that.
You got plenty of people to talk to, Barbara. You just got to get them to you.
Absolutely. We've got the number of veterans. So Scottsdale's got about 12,000. There's probably about 600,000 that live in Maricopa County. It's not a lack of veterans. And I think it's not even a lack of students. It's just the infrastructure and the support to bring the resources to bear to start recording those stories. And there is a sense of urgency. I think when Barbara first talked about World War II veterans, there was the sense of urgency. You want to capture these stories before they're gone. And I will say, you know, when I'm 70, I will circle back to the studio.
Oh, no.
And you can ask me all the questions you
I
like.
think we're going to get him before 70, but that's just you and I. We'll figure it out. But let's talk about bringing people together, because I'll go back to my question. It's an emotional experience, but for the student, for the veteran and stuff that you speak with and do these interviews. So how do you bring all of these experiences together to make a story and to tell their story everlasting and to make sure we do not forget, history?
Well, we record them for the Library of Congress. So Veterans History Project began in 2000 at the Library of Congress because they realized the World War II guys were passing away at rapid pace. And now they have about, I lose track, 120,000 documented stories. You can go there. I can go there. I can look up somebody we interviewed in 2004, and I can listen to the video all over again.
Wow.
It's wonderful. So that was really it was a unanimous vote of Congress to create Veterans History Project. So that's wonderful. So we submit the stories there for the generations to come. But I think veterans need something tangible to hold. So the student writes a story, we publish it in a book, and I'm a believer in thank you. Young people need to learn to say thank you and to write thank you. So we host an event at the end of that book cycle. It'll be in April this next year. We bring the veterans together, the students, the community. It's open to the public. And the veterans sit around the perimeter, and people come up like your son and say, would you sign my book for me?
Oh, that's so cool.
You can imagine how somebody who maybe has never gotten a lot of notoriety, they feel like a celebrity.
Yeah, they should.
And it's so beautiful to watch them just light up. And it's one thing for me to ask, because I might be, I'm not your peer, I'm old enough to be your mother, but for Vietnam, I'm their peer. But when a young person asks, and I'm always negating the perceptions of kids, I said, they're wonderful. They really are. But you have to think of the world they're living in and how much is going on. Mm-hmm. And I think talking to these veterans gives them perspective. Mm-hmm. Things have been rough in the past, too. And yet, at the age almost you are now, they were in the trenches.
Isn't that crazy?
They were on a ship. And the kids will go, yeah, maybe my life isn't so bad or so challenging. But the bond, it's unbelievable to hear a 90-year-old talking to a 16-year-old and laughing and joking, because there's a commonality of humans.
But that's just what it is. It's finding that commonality again, and you can find it through generations of differences, but there's still that humanality that brings us together.
And I'm getting into my stride here. I want to lean back to...
Of course, back to Barbara. Go for it, Justin.
No, because one of the things that she talked about, the juxtaposition of a young person. So what we've done through, I created a nonprofit to help support the city's commission's efforts. And one of the things that the nonprofit does is we fund a cash prize with Scottsdale Unified School District, their high schools. So the students essentially do like a writing contest. We pick a winner. The winner gets the cash prize, but they come to the event. And so we started this for Vietnam Veterans Day. And this last year, what was really just incredibly powerful is that, so again, opening remarks, the student is introduced, they read their poem, but before we did that, forgive me, we do the opening remarks, but then we read off the names and ages of every veteran from the Vietnam era who died in Scottsdale.
Wow.
So we have the Memorial of the Fallen with 66 names of service members who have been killed in military service here in Scottsdale or the Scottsdale area. Mm-hmm. And then you have that young person from a high school come out and read their work. And it's an incredible reminder of the sacrifice that these veterans gave, and then also a reminder of that, I think kids get a little bit of a bad rap. There are some really impressive kids out there in the world. Your son, for example,
they impress me. I'm not smarter than a fifth grader at this point. I have been proven that, and over and over and over again. But
can a fifth grader type on a typewriter?
I don't know. We had to learn during COVID how to use a computer, so that was interesting. I forgot where I was going to go with that because you're so right. Sam Baker, I was a guy here, and he was amazing. He was on our cover story last November for Scottsdale City Lifestyle. He became a kid's author at the age of 98. You know, he's remarkable. These kind of stories here. My family is Navy. That's what all they were. My husband's family was Navy. My grandmother's brother-in-law was ejected from his plane over World War II. Like all, you know, everybody. It stopped with my dad though. The draft ended right before my dad became of age. He was like a 16 and it stopped. And so he didn't enlist or anything like that. But it really was like for my family, our grandparents. I keep telling my son though, the military has changed so much and then the way it's working, the technology and stuff like that, that there are so many ways to be involved that doesn't necessarily mean be on the front lines anymore and having to go through some of the things, you know, that our past and previous soldiers went through. But to continue to tell their sacrifices and stories and growth, it just continues to grow us and remind us of how we got to where we are today in so many ways, too.
You talked about emotional. I sat in on an interview where the veteran, Vietnam age, had a tough upbringing. Mm-hmm. That was very emotional. And the student who's a senior, who's now at West Point, I think.
Wow.
They were sitting there talking. And then after 3 hours, the student said, "Are we done?" I said, "I think so." So we turned the camera off, and he wanted to share his story with the veteran. And so there was this bond. I used to, students say, "You make everybody cry." I said, I thought about that a while, and I thought, no, I give them a safe space to cry in because they need to cry. Women cry.
Yeah.
We're used to it. We don't make apologies.
I don't at all. I never shed a tear.
Yeah. But these men, and you never know where it'll come out of either.
Yeah, you don't.
Odd place, and all of a sudden, and it's students go, "I didn't know what to do." I said, just give them a moment. Let them, that's a healthy thing. That's a very healthy thing for them to do. And I think for young people to see that there's not this monolithic image of a video game veteran that goes out there. I don't like those things, but that these are humans and that they can go give service like this, but not lose their humanity in the process. It's a big thing.
Just let me ask you, as a veteran, so you can't pass this on to Barbara.
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
Do you find it, or do you participate, or any veterans, one-on-one? Like if it was just me and you and I was a veteran, would you be able to talk to me easier?
Absolutely.
In a
of course,
private set? Yeah. It's
you
not
get,
uncommon.
you get veterans in a room together. It's a very different
It
interaction.
automatically opens you guys up because you feel that safe place.
Well, it's just the language, the experiences. Generally, yes, we tend to be more forthcoming. I will say, I don't have a particularly good story. It's not bad, but
whatever. Again, we'll get it before he's 70.
It's compelling. We'll say we'll describe it as it's a story. So I got out in 2003, and so when I left, it was turn in your equipment. Here's your plane ticket, and it was done. And up until I got involved with the commission, I really didn't think long or hard about my military service at all.
Why?
And so,
you're not the only one to do that.
Well, because it was 20 years ago, right? It was a lifetime ago. A lot of things had happened from then until now, and I was also a pre 9/11 veteran, which is kind of my distinction to describe that 9/11 really shifted how the general American public felt about military service members. When I first joined, we didn't travel in uniform. We didn't. We weren't at risk like Vietnam veterans, but we still didn't. We didn't go in public in uniform. You didn't get free things. You got maybe a
discount,
No, you can get free coffee and apple pie at McDonald's. Oh. But about other than that, you're hard pressed. I had police officers scream at us, and there's a very different kind of relationship. And I'm like, I'm on orders. I don't know what to tell you. It's just very different. But post 9/11, this country, and for good reason, we had a sharp reminder.
Started caring.
Right, and understanding as the country's grown, but also just as the distance, in time, veterans, families weren't affected. What made Vietnam, I think, part of what made Vietnam so difficult is the draft, is that lottery. Your father missed a horrifying experience by chance.
Yeah.
Right. And that uncertainty leads to fear. And so because now in the modern era, we're all volunteers. We're, at some level, we make a conscious choice to engage and serve. It shifts it. And so families don't feel as like their children have been taken from them. Right. It's just a very different kind of environment. And so I think it does help. It facilitates the ability for the general public to ignore it. Yeah. I remember I came home from Bosnia, and one of the hardest things you learn as a veteran is you don't matter and the world goes on, right? Like it's a lesson that just kind of surprises you. And when I came home from Bosnia, I was in a movie theater. I was going to be kind of an old person say, a movie theater is a place where, we still have theaters. But I'm in a movie theater, and before the movie started playing, there were commercials. Now, before I had left, there were no commercials. I mean, you had previews.
Oh.
And then, yeah, right. But there were no commercials. Like for the local dealership before my movie, that was it. I was floored. I could not get past it.
Little things.
It was, and I was like, oh, okay.
I have a good friend, and he Navy, and he was under in the sub for 33 days, and he was like, going to the grocery store was the most overwhelming feeling in the entire world. He was like, there was too many choices. Too many wide aisles. You know, I'm used to being in a small enclosed space. So he kind of had the same reaction. Yeah. So
I have a sweet tooth, and part of the reason when people say, why do you like take every cookie? Because if you go 9 months without a cookie, when you come home, you're like, I'm going to start hoarding cookies. I don't know when I might get another piece, a cookie or a chocolate again. It
is interesting. Well, you guys have done so much. I want to ask, how can we get more involved with you, Barbara, for the veterans who are listening and are ready to share their story or want to recommend another veteran to share their story, kind of thing? How do we get in touch with you and learn more?
I think it's best to go to the website, imprintsofhonor.org. There's a place for a veteran to say, I'm interested in being interviewed. In the past, people would just hand you paper. Oh, yeah, or somebody else would refer somebody else, and then you call them and they go, who are you and what do you want? And that's a little rough. So that's better and more direct because we know the veteran actually is willing to be interviewed. And it'll guide you through all kinds of opportunities. One of the, I think, most challenging, how do you get veterans involved beyond that interview? It's hard enough to keep your office staff. There's so much to do. It's like as a teacher, I never took a TA because there was just one more person I needed to manage in a day. And I'm like, just go like that, right? And put your head down and keep going. So I would go there, express an interest, get involved. It tells you ways to be involved. Donate, like Justin said.
And then the series is coming up, so let's talk about that.
Yeah. So it's a veteran community series. It's at the Community Design Studio, which is I think like 73rd and Miller.
We'll have the address and link and everything in the description. Yeah.
Good job. Taking care of me there.
We'll correct anything. Don't worry.
I grew up before Google. You couldn't fact check me. I could just
say whatever.
Yeah.
It's free to attend.
So it is the first Wednesday of every month, not in January because we take a break. So first Wednesday, November through April. Okay. Free to attend. Light refreshments. It's at 5:30. Like I said, we have different topics. You can go to. You can actually register through the Scottsdale Chamber if you're a chamber member and even a member of public, or you can go to scottsdaleforveterans.org/events, and it's 4 with the number 4.
Again, all this will be there,
and you can register.
Yeah, perfect.
For the events.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you both, Justin and Barbara, for all you do and everything you do to keep these veterans alive, no matter where they are. Stories are important, and I love that. So don't forget to go check it out, the series. Again, we'll have the description, the link in the description of all of this. There is more events coming up as well, but before I tell you about those, I would love to tell you about our favorite real estate agent, Sean Shackleton. For over 25 years, our sponsor, Sean Shackleton of the Shackleton Group, has guided buyers and sellers with straight talk, smart strategy, and data that keeps you ahead of the market. If you want a calm pro who won't let you settle for less, call Sean at 480-734-7277 or go to theshackletongroup.com. Well, we just told you about all the Veterans Day events. So again, check the description, but it's Scottsdazzle, the annual holiday extravaganza, is also being put on by the city November 29th through the December 31st. A bunch of events going on in Old Town, so be sure to check the calendar for that because you do register. There are some small events, some big events, the Christmas tree lighting and all that is around. So that's coming up. The Holiday Lights at 2025 is happening at McCormick-Stillman Railroad. This is a whole new revamp of the railroad, so be sure to check out this year's Holiday Lights. I have no doubt that's going to be over the top, as they always do. But again, get your tickets early to make sure you get that prime spot in time. It'll be fun. And then, of course, Vineyards in the Valley happens Saturday, December 6th at the Chara Lodge at Scottsdale Stadium. I will be there. We can't wait to support our people, and you can get your tickets at vineyardsinthevalley.org. Have a wonderful week, Scottsdale. Keep vibing, and I'll see you around town.